Good day to everyone. I'm also bringing something physical on the table, just for you to wonder about one of the products that we produce. So, Paulig, I think we could start from that. What is Paulig, actually? Does this work? Yeah. So, Paulig is originally a coffee house that started its operations in 1876 by a German immigrant, Gustav Paulig, that immigrated to Finland and started a coffee roastery there after 2 years of loitering in accounting. And then he grew the business. Initially, it was also a lot of colonial goods import, but over the years, in the beginning of the 19th century, the coffee side of things really overwhelmed everything else. And nowadays, we are producing quite a significant amount of coffee annually, so 50,000 tons in our Vuosaari and Tver roasteries. Tver is in Russia. And quite a lot of these are juhlamokka. So that's not actually the one product that I have on the table, but our volume product. That's an amazing product in the sense that every second coffee cup in Finland that is enjoyed is actually juhlamokka. And it's a significant amount, even though the size of the country is small, because we drink the most coffee in the world, about 10 kilos per person. We'll come to that later, how that compares to other countries. Then, in the beginning of 2010, we actually bought Santa Maria. So Santa Maria is also a long-time family company founded in Sweden, and we acquired them in 2011. And this is also a significant part of Paulig Group. So we produce a huge amount of tortillas, Tex-Mex, spices, spice mixes, all that goes with Tex-Mex, basically. And if we look at the numbers, then let's say coffee is about 350 million euros annually, and the Tex-Mex, snacks, tortillas, all of that is about 600 million. And we are 2,000 employees. In Finland, we have the coffee roastery, as I said. In Tver, also a coffee roastery. Sweden, Estonia are mostly occupied with spices. UK, Belgium, those are tortillas and snacks. So that kind of a company. Probably not that familiar to many of you as a name, because we mainly the Paulig brand is visible in Finland, Baltics, and Russia. And that's because of the coffee taste is very specific to a particular country, so it's actually pretty hard to penetrate a different region for a coffee company. We have seen that, and our competitors have seen that also when they have tried to come to Finland. And coming to IBP, so Integrated Business Planning, or Sales and Operations Planning, as it also goes. So why did we start an implementation of an IBP, also both the process and the tool? Well, there was a couple of major themes behind this. So, coffee sales, and we implemented, and just to make clear, we implemented IBP using Quintiq tools for now only in the coffee division, the former coffee division. The major reason was that the coffee sales is very campaign-driven. A single campaign can draw in 800 tons of coffee sales out of the annual 50,000 tons, for example. So it has a significant impact. A single campaign can have a very significant impact on the result of the year, on how we attain the budget, on what is the net sales, what is the cross contribution. Now, previously, we calculated all of this in Excels, and it was a very manual work, because it is kind of a cascade that happens. When you sell more, your green coffee consumption increases, your cost of goods sold probably increases because the batches that you have are of different price. Your volume, of course, the financials, net sales, gross sales, all of that changes. And all of this we calculated previously in Excel, and that was quite hard. There was really no scenario planning. So let's say we would like to have a campaign. Do we have it with the aforementioned Juhlamokka brand, or should we push the distributor to actually have the campaign with our Presidentti brand, which is the other big volume product? Because this has a major impact. Or these have different price points. They also have different cost of goods sold. They have different raw material consumptions. And previously, this was pretty much very hard to do. Very hard to do on a detailed level. What would be the result of picking one or the other for the campaign? So that was one of them. And all of these calculations basically boiled into one Excel hell where everyone was calculating, controllers, sales, planning. Everyone was calculating what does this mean? What does this mean now if we have a Juhlamokka campaign of 800 tons? Sourcing was also very involved with Excels. And then we wanted to have improved demand forecast accuracy, of course. We have, in addition to the campaign sale products, we also have a huge number of smaller volume products. We actually have about 250 active coffee products, out of which a handful, let's say 10, are volume products, and the others are this kind of products that, yeah, they sell well, Cafe Sydney, but it's not a blockbuster. And what we would like to do is because the sales of these ones are rather stable, we would like to automate the forecast for these ones as much as possible using statistical forecasting, for example. And then all of this really boils down to improved margin. So if we are able to better forecast what is the impact of a particular campaign, say, onto our bottom line, then we can also plan ahead to pick the campaign that is the most profitable for us, or let's say sourcing-wise the best, that we don't run into trouble with the green coffee availability. Which would also mean that we would need to buy from the spot market, which is usually very expensive and results in lesser quality. So these problems were in the background. And let's first go to the process, what we then implemented. So we wanted to have an IBP process that brings together now sales and marketing, finance, and supply chain. And supply chain, what's good to note here is that supply chain for us includes two major organizations: sourcing, so the green coffee sourcing, and the productions, actually the production facilities. And they have a bit different view. So production is, of course, looking at the capacities. Sourcing is very much looking at the raw material price, raw material availability. So we wanted to have this. And how do we do it? We have a monthly process now that's actually, it doesn't yet start from the portfolio review. We are still bringing that up, bringing that into the process. But next year, in the beginning of the next year, we will start also a monthly portfolio review. But at the moment, it starts from the demand review. So we have with the key account managers and the demand planners, we have meetings where we agree what the expected sales will be. Then we have a supply review with production and sourcing involved, and our my supply planner in the team, and we check how do we do this with the least cost and least capacity problems and least raw material availability problems and packaging materials and all that. And then it goes to the BA executive IBP. So BA is the business area, which in this case refers to Finland and Baltics, which is mainly about coffee. And there we then decide on what to do. For example, the aforementioned example of Juhlamokka and Presidentti, which product do we pick, which is the sales-wise, cost-wise, production-wise, the best choice. And then also the last one is actually still not yet in the process, the group executive IBP, where we bring from all the business areas, we bring the suggestions and the total and the business plans up to the CEO level. But this will also start next year, in the beginning of next year. So this is the process that we wanted to implement and implemented. And how was it implemented tool-wise? Well, we have from DELMIA and Quintiq basically two solutions. We have two products, demand planner, and then we have macro planner. But basically we use them as three modules or three workflows. So demand planning, and then we create the consensus demand plan. That's pretty straightforward. Or let's say not straightforward, but self-explanatory. We use statistical forecasting for all these smaller products like Cafe Sydney. We need to add the PLM effects. As you know, in retail, you need to pump the demand, which means that you need to have new products all the time on the table for the customers to enjoy. So that's one of the recurring things that we need to take into account. Campaign planning, so meaning here sales campaign. Is it now Juhlamokka, Presidentti, which customer, what amount, what kind of safety do we take into account? There's also the thing that in a campaign, the sales of a particular product can increase 20-fold. So we need to also take into account what is the safety stock for this. Consensus forecasting, yeah, that's the politically the hard part. Sales is saying that we'll sell the world, and finance is saying that let's take it a notch down, not to report to CEO that we will attain all the nice dreams. So there is a constant communication going on between sales and planning and finance on what is actually the consensus. Workflow support, yeah, we need to know what everyone is doing. Demand scenarios, as mentioned, we need to be able to model these different scenarios. Is it this kind of a campaign structure with these products, with these volumes to this customer, or is it this other one? And we take those demand scenarios to blend pricing, which is the second module or second workflow, which is using macro planner. So there we calculate then against this demand the blend price, so basically meaning the price of the coffee per kilo. And it might sound easy. So, I mean, this kind of a coffee bean bag, it usually contains something like 70% Santos from Brazil, and then 30% other components that bring flavor. So you would think that it's pretty easy, but having 450 SKUs, several different kinds of classifications of raw materials, or raw coffee, green coffee, very volatile market prices. So coffee is the most volatile raw material on the raw material market. Different kinds of hedging that we have in play. We could have certain kind of futures already acquired. Our current inventory. Then, of course, also the bill of material. We can change it if we want. Of course, changes also the taste, so we need to be careful. And in general, also the supply constraints. And so all of this comes into play, and this was one Excel hell, and this particular one specifically, because when you also bring in the currency rates here, we buy in dollars, but we consume in euros. All of this, when you bring all of this into the play, it becomes a really, really complex Excel. But fortunately, it actually fitted rather nicely to macro planner. So we made into a calculation engine for us to calculate the cost of goods sold, the euros per kilo. And when we have that for each of our products, then we can go to financial planning. We know what is the cost of this plan. And there we can then add on the discounts, for example, marketing, let's say, additions, all of that. And we can then calculate what is the net sales actually. And we can create financial scenarios. So there we come to the really interesting numbers then. And we can do this on a detailed level. So we can take a look at a single SKU for a specific customer. How is this profitable? Is this what is the positive or negative impact of this one? Yeah, and all these three different modules, they output to, of course, the production planning from once we have the consensus demand plan. From blend pricing, we get basically how the system is suggesting to use the recipe, if there is some flexibility in the recipe. And we see when would we need the raw material, what would be the best time to buy the raw material, given the market situation, given the market prices, futures, all of that. And also the fact that there is different green coffee varieties that fall into the same basket with different prices, but eventually the same usage. Then out of financial planning, we report to our financial reporting tools. We summarize it there. So these are the components. And what did we achieve with this? Yeah. First of all, I would like to highlight that we basically have a more effective process. We have a more streamlined process. We don't need to gather together all the different Excels that we previously had. There's much less manual work, and we can create a new scenario much more fluidly than before. And we always get the relevant data out of the system. So we have it on the SKU level if we want to look at it there, but we also have it on the product category level or on a customer level. We can look at it on any level we desire, and many of these levels are very relevant. Customer level is very relevant for sales. Product level is very relevant when we consider the portfolio. This has been a really big enabler for us. And we also see that in comparison to other divisions, like the Tex-Mex division, where they don't have the same level of visibility, that we are of course we see the actuals. We can kind of look at the back mirror to see, okay, what has happened? How has the profitability been, for example, for a particular customer or a product? But we don't see forward on the same level, and it does limit our ability to plan the business. And eventually this does come into improved decision quality, because we can say with certain with an amount of certainty that this is what will happen if we do like this. And we can offer these different alternatives as scenarios to the executive IBB. Of course, we don't show them the systems, but we basically can crunch the numbers in scenarios and then offer them the alternatives. The financial part is really also crucial. So now that we will start beginning next year, also this constant portfolio review. We have had a bit of, let's say, slow cycle there. So we have a bit of work to do on the product portfolio. But when we start that, also in other sense than just sporadic, okay, this product needs to die, or this is a great product. We will need this profitability information that we now get from the system. And now comparing again to the different divisions of the company, that not everybody has this information, and it will be a bit challenging starting next year for them to really then come to a concrete conclusion. What do they do? Because they see things mainly for example, on Tex-Mex level and on India products level, but that contains a huge amount of different products with different trends, with different costs, with different margins. And So let's say, I don't unfortunately have a concrete number on this stage now to show that this was the impact, but like Slovenia still had. But I can say that the dishes in quality has been improved. And we have a much better visibility into this product category of coffees than we have for many other categories of our company. And we can do better decisions, and we see that clearly in the monthly executive meetings that we run, that the discussions, the alternatives, the scenarios, those are better for coffee. As a next step, what are we going to do? So we are, as said, we are on different maturity levels in the business. So we have different tools now. We had a major reorganization in summer, where the former Santa Maria division and a coffee division and a snacks division actually were disbanded, and now we run country organizations like Finland Baltics that mainly sells coffee, but not only. Like we also sell Santa Maria. So now we need to get ourselves onto the same maturity level with regards to all the divisions, and that will be quite a task. And it means reconsidering, okay, what are the best tools for usage on the group level? How do we harmonize processes and tools? In the meanwhile, before these are, let's say, decided who uses what and how do we extend, we are continuing the improvements to the current Quintiq solution. We integrate the point of sales data in order to better estimate what is the distributor stock. So we have the sales to the distributor in the system, but we don't have the sales out from the distributor, even though we have the data. You don't just have it where it should be. So that's one task. Any stock that is left at the distributor will negatively impact the sales in the future. We would like to, as the IBP organization, as the planning organization, we believe that mathematical tools, mathematical models have a place in forecasting, giving better predictions, and that we think is very valid for campaign sales. But we still need to get the whole organization convinced about this, that mathematical methods can actually predict better, especially the campaign sales. We use statistical forecasting for the stable products, but campaign sales for now has been mainly determined by the sales team. Then there is the production scheduling. So this is a bit different. It doesn't. It only indirectly links to IBP. But looking at the whole solution landscape that we have, of course, we have it would be a benefit if we can standardize on a single planning platform, because we see if the whole group is using one planning platform, we can gather so much experience, so much knowledge onto one system that it will be much more effective using that than using different solutions in each of the different business areas. So we are also looking into extension of Quintiq or some other scheduler. At the moment, we are just in the business case phase to production scheduling. So we are looking into improving the resource utilization in especially our Vuosaari factory, which is pretty abysmal. I haven't actually heard anyone having a worse one. I won't say the number, so I don't need to blush, but it's below 50. So OEE there is really something that we would like to look into, whether it can be improved and whether it would make sense to use the Quintiq scheduler for that. But we are in the very, very beginning with that one. That's the story. And thank you very much for listening in, and any questions? So at the moment, the PLM process is a bit independent, but as I said, the portfolio reviews will start next year. And there it will be very crucial information that we will output from the current planning, demand forecasting and financial planning systems for the portfolio management. So at the moment there is a discontinuity, but we are fixing that.